Alright, this is Brandon again here with the Old School Game Vault. We're going to show you how to put a PS3 back together again. It's really not too hard. It's just got to remember what goes where. This is actually a dead PS3 we're working with, so we're not really going to clean it all up. Basically, we're going to come right here, have our little metal plate. We're going to bend this back over, our audio video out, HDMI. We're going to come over here. There's two little small screws that plug in right here. This is where our hard drive goes. So we're just going to make sure everything's lined up. Everything looks lined up. Alright, we got one screw in. So like I said, these are real small screws that go right in here. There's two of them. And I use a little small Phillips screwdriver for those. What we're going to do, we're going to plug our battery back in right here. We're going to flip her over. Now we're going to put our fan on. So basically there's two little pinholes right here. That's going to plug into the back of the board right here. So what I like to do is kind of make sure we get those two little pins plugged into the board. We're going to plug our ribbon or our cable back in for the fan. Now we got that hooked up. We're going to put our top little board on, our little metal board, if you will. That slides right on. Then what I like to do is I like to put these guys back on right away. I just find it makes it a little easier for me to work with if I put these guys back in, because this will tighten up the fan below in the board. Just makes it a little easier to work with and get everything back together without losing parts, I think. So there we go. We got 4 screws with these 2 brackets right here. Alright, just like so. Now what I like to do is put our back to the console on. Pretty much all this stuff just kind of snips together like a piece of plastic, kind of like a Lego, I guess. Make sure I got my power supply on. Looking good. So pretty much all this just snaps right on into place. We're going to come to get our bottom of our console. Just going to line it all up. Make sure everything's flush. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our hard drive back in here. Slide in a hard drive. We're going to get our little blue screw. I got to find the blue screw. Blue screw, blue screw. Here's our blue screw. Blue screws for our hard drive. There's our hard drive. We'll put our door back on our hard drive. Okay, now we're looking at the inside of the console. Now, if you watched my previous video about taking the PS3 apart, you're going to notice that there are some long screws and some short screws. Now, all the long screws are going to go right here in the base of the console, so that's kind of easy, so you don't get yourself a little confused there. So, what we're going to do is we're going to put our little ground cable back together, screw him in. What I like to do is I like to keep the wire right in front of this little bracket right there, because you're going to put the power supply right on top of there. So I like to keep him in front of there. Now this little kind of an inch long screw goes right in the back here, right next to our on-off or AC on-off switch. Screw him down. Now we're going to be left with our long screws. Like I said, they just kind of go around the base of the board here. I know it's kind of boring watching me screw stuff in, but I guess that's the point of watching the videos, learn how to do this. It's not too difficult. Like I mentioned in my other video, I do have a video for how to repair a yellow light of death. So basically this is kind of, I did a video to take a PS3 apart, and I'm doing a video now to put a PS3 back together. But if you have a yellow light of death, I've done hundreds and hundreds of yellow light of death repair, and I kind of got a little way that works very well for me. I've had a really high success rate, so I shared it on my other video. So if you got any questions, check that out. If you have any questions about how I do it, just send me an email or something, and I'd be happy to help you. You know, go through it. Now we're going to put our eject board back on. We got a little bracket right here. Once again, we're still using these long screws. I mean, yellow light of death's not hard to do. You just got to kind of know a little bit what you're doing, and reflow it up properly, and never, ever, ever use a hair dryer. I know there's a lot of videos out on YouTube. Excuse me, I'm going to stop. This is our little eject board. We're going to slip that back in there. Like I was saying, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about using a hair dryer to fix a PS3. Well, that is wrong, and you should never use the hair dryer trick. So if you see a video with the hair dryer trick, do not attempt that, because your PS3 is just going to die again after you try to do that. And basically, with the hair dryer, you're just going to melt the darn console. Okay, so here we got our eject board back in. I put our little Wi-Fi antenna back in. Now we'll come over here. I want to put our power supply back in. We're going to plug it in, put our screws, line up our screws here. Now these power supplies do go bad. And they're easy to replace, as you can see. I just slipped it back on. But if you are going to replace a power supply for your PS3, just make sure you replace it with the same model power supply that you're taking out. So here we got our PS3. Power supply going on. There we go. Put our wires in. Now we'll plug our little cable back into the board. Like so. Now we're going to put our Wi-Fi board on. Here's our little Wi-Fi board. We're going to connect our ribbon. Clamp down our ribbon. We got 4 screws we got to put on to this little Wi-Fi board to attach it to the console. Alright, and last but not least, the next we're going to put... Alright, cool. Thank you for checking out my video. I'm Brandon from the Old School Game Vault. Take care, everybody.